Okay, everybody, how are you doing? How is everyone doing this week of I think it's 5th to 10th or 9th? Yeah. Anyway, welcome back to JSMFX, where we look at the forex reviews, analysis, and also forecast, okay, for next week. So this time we are going to look at the reviews for 5th to 9th January 2026, and also the reviews for 12th, okay, 12th to 16th of this week, and then the forecast for 19th to 23rd. Okay, 19th to 23rd of next week, January 2026. So strap up, put on your seatbelt, and let's now enjoy the ride as we dissect or demystify how the market was, is, and will be. Karibu. Okay, so once again, welcome back. Let us start off with the news. Okay, nothing much to see next week. I can see here from the Monday, 19th of January, we see a lot of activity happening on the Chinese or the Asian side. Okay, so for that, I would really not concentrate on that because I don't actually look at the Asian markets these days. I felt that it was a lot for me because I had to stay up late, wake up very early in the morning, to look at all that. And, when your brain is still down, okay, it was hard for me to just cope up with getting back on track and see what was installed during the Asian session. So yeah, that's not happening for me. But as you can see, the euro, we have the CPI and also the card. We also have some news coming up on Monday, but that still doesn't involve me, so I will skip on that day. Tuesday, uh, because I normally concentrate on the Euro USD and USD CHF and a little bit of DAX, then I'll be a little involved inside the USD, especially on this USD ADP employment change. Okay, so I think there I'll be very watchful, very wary about what will be going on in the day of Tuesday. Wednesday, nothing much. Not really looking at the pound pairs, but yeah, I think I'll just let go of Wednesday. Thursday, though, a lot of activity is going to happen. Going to expect some moves here because we have the core PCE, and I see, maybe here I'll be very, very much watchful to see what will actually happen on this day. And looking at my pairs, I'll be very, very much ready, waiting for that move to happen, either, of the ways that they want to go. Friday also not really much to see. I don't think I'll be concentrating on Friday to check out if there'll be any activity happening, but let's just see how it will go and how it will be, because if you check here for the USD, we have the Michigan consumer sentiment. Well, this is a little bit important, but I'll also check on maybe how the market or the charts will be, and see maybe if this also can be of any relevance to my trading. So that's just all for the news. Let's now jump straight into the charts. Fortunately, I won't be looking at my account every week, but I'll just be doing it once a month. Okay, the first Saturday of the month, I'll be doing a review of my accounts. But so far so good. There are no trades this week, just a little bit of lower time frames approaches, but still there was a lot of lessons to learn also from those lower time frames. So let's just check out the charts and see what we have in store. Okay, so starting off with the DAX, Germany 40, you can see here from the monthly, nothing much has happened, but still price is trying to push up. Okay, so we have the lower, higher low, higher high, then another higher low, then another high high. Well, you can say also this is another pullback, especially from this high. Okay, so we have that pullback and then a push to the upside, causing that, possible higher high. okay, or maybe looking to want to continue to the upside still. But as you can see, it did break the last high, so meaning price is just wanting to move to the upside. It was a disappointing thing to actually see that this supply was broken, because I was expecting that with this candle price would just push still downwards to this demand, before continuing to the upside, but that wasn't the case. So as you can see, price has just gone up, and that's okay. That's not bad. So for now, I'll just refine my POI to be this here, okay, and wait to see maybe if there are any possibilities for price to come in lower, either to this demand or maybe this if possible. But for now, it's this demand because it's the next one, and look to see if we maybe can continue going up to the upside. Okay, so that's just it from the monthly. Nothing much to see here. The weekly also was a bit interesting. As you can see, after price went high, we had a very long range. Okay, this danced around for I think 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, 6 months, and this was the doji that was trying to push price down, but it only came to take out the liquidity from all these lows. Okay, and then short to the upside. We also had a bearish change of character, so I was anticipating at least price to come back to this supply right here and then push to the downside, but that wasn't the case. So what happened here is I noticed that there was this ascending triangle which got broken to the upside, and then from there price returned back to just mitigate this demand and then push to the upside. So if it was a trade, it would have looked at it from this point right there, and look to play that move to the upside. Say, for example, if you want to target, let's say 2R, that would have been a very clean 2R for you. And yeah, that would have been a very good trade, and very good amount, as much as it would have lasted a little bit of while. I think 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 weeks. Okay, this being the 5th week. I think that would have been a very good trade for you, and yeah, you would have earned something by the end of the 5th week today. Okay, so that's just it. Nothing much to see here. We see, for me, I see this candle being a doji, being uh, telling me that there's a kind of rejections, and maybe we could be anticipating some few moves to the downside. But I can only say that after this candle is formed, and say, for example, let me just do this. After that candle is formed and it closes, I can expect this, because we have, let me just try and draw it out of the candles. We have this move. I'm drawing from this candle. We have this move, and then price came down with this week, okay, with that pullback, and then move again, okay, and then came down like that. And then right now we are here, and then with that week now that has just formed and closed for the week, we see that price has also done that pullback. So unless it breaks, or maybe the next candle breaches this low of this candle, say next week, okay, then maybe I'll be like that. If it does break that low, then I'll be looking for any supplies around here, and then maybe move to the downside. Okay, but for now, that candle seems to like telling us, anticipate on any direction. It could be a pullback either to these exchanging weeks. Okay, this one doesn't have a week, but this week here, maybe it's just an return to there and then continue to the upside. But if it does, if the next candle starts and breaks this low of this candle, okay, then I'll be looking for any sell opportunities coming in next week, especially on the 4 hour and the 1 hour time frames. The daily, now, things are a bit clear, I can say. For one, we see that price came down, okay, broke that low, okay, and we could have anticipated the price would, wanting to continue to the downside. So right here from this supply is where I also shared this trade in the group, telling guys that maybe we could be facing some moves to continue to the downside. Okay, but that wasn't the case. So this supply was just there to collecting more orders and then causing that relatable double top. Okay, so this is the return to that ascending triangle. You see the green one, the ascending triangle. This was the return to there, which actually came to just touch this sell to buy range and also that demand in the weekly, or rather on the weekly, which now push price to the upside further to this extreme supply after this change of character, and then price just short to the upside. So right now we're seeing some little bit of pullbacks. Okay, we still don't have any demand here that we could be targeting if until we were anticipating or wanting to take those sell opportunities. So for me, if I'm looking at the next demand, it's either from this inside bar or maybe this doji that is down here. Okay, so either of that can happen. What I'm seeing that's interesting and wanting for me to concentrate on or look closely at is this pullback of this inside bar right here. So after that pullback, we see this next candle breaching and taking out liquidity from here. So this could be the pullback to that inside bar. Okay, and then maybe start to create those order flow to the downside. So you see how I've just drawn that skeleton. Maybe that could be the possibility or probability to the downside, either to this, okay, this demand right here, or maybe this one. So let me just draw on it, but I'll only extend it to this candle because it was part of that push to the upside, and then the exchanging wicks right here pulled back to this inside bar and then shot to the upside. So I have to include this whole candle to see maybe if price wants to pull back, then that will be my next target when I'm playing the cells, to take it as my TP point. 4 hour. For also, things are a little bit looking to be demystified in a way that we could understand and also prove that sell opportunities could be there. So what am I looking at? First and foremost, this move to the upside was really massive. Took so long, I think 3 weeks, 2 weeks, if I'm not wrong, during the month of January so far. And as you can see, we still have, for me, I still don't have a high, okay, but I will draw it up here if price does break below this descending triangle, okay, for me. So how do I look at this? Okay, so I look at it from this perspective. We have a higher low, then a high, say a high low there, high. But before this high, we see that this was the last high. Then we had a couple of pullbacks, okay, a range, and then a good pullback, and then I moved to the upside. So meaning this one here later on became change of character. And no. Yeah, there was a change of character around here. No. My change of character was here because after this range again, price shot to the downside. So meaning this was my official change of character, and then price pushed back up to this whole range. You remember this whole range? Yeah, the one in brown. Okay, on the 4 hours. So went back there. Okay, and started to still continue to range, causing that descending triangle and also playing around this demand. Okay, so meaning now because of this doji and this candle, we see as much as it has broken this descending triangle, we also see that price still could be pushing to the downside. Okay, because we have, let me just try and roll that through, because I see this as my speculative supply. Okay, could be the one that will push price to the lower side. Okay, but for now it has broken to the upside, so anything can happen. This could also mean that because it has broken to the upside, it would come back to this doji as a possible speculative demand, and then use it to continue to the upside. So anything still can happen, and we'll just have to wait to see what will actually happen from that point. But for now, this demand is holding. This one here is holding, and yeah, we could be seeing some move to the upside and push continuing to the upside. So for now, I can't really tell, as much as I really want to have or see those opportunities to the downside, look for those opportunities. But for now, let's just say that we leave it out open at that point. Okay. 15 minutes now. Let's look at some few possibilities that were taken during that possible move to the downside, anticipating that it will take long and make it official that they want to reverse. But that wasn't the case for my side, and I'll just try to take another look for show you the review of the week on how it started off. Starting on from Monday, right around here, we see we had that range, and then price shot to the upside. Okay, so we continued again just like that. Had a change of character on the 4 hour, the way you just saw a few seconds ago. Had a change of character, and then price went up, took out liquidity. Okay, and then that high was broken, so meaning now we were starting to form that 15-minute swing structure. Okay, so price came down after this change of character around here. Okay, let me just show you right there, and then range a little bit from that demand, came up again to take out that high. Okay, after the change of character, but as you can see, this supply was not mitigated. Okay, so when price shot to the downside like that, this was now the next supply on the 4 hour, the huge one in brown. Okay, I hope you're understanding, and because you've been watching my videos, you know now about the colors of the POI, the way I separate them depending on the time frame that I am in. So right here, they left that supply, but didn't come to it soon, but only came down to this demand. Okay, and then push price lower again to that demand, which later on they now caused a change of character and started to pull back. Remember, we've now broken that low, okay, on the 15-minute, this 15-minute swing low. So meaning now after that break of the low, this deeper pullback was now the lower low. Okay, so right here with this pullback, we see that we were creating a higher low. Okay, but that higher low, for me, I was anticipating for at least for it to come to this supply, but that wasn't the case. So they only use this supply to push price lower to that demand after this change of character. Okay, so I hope you're following. Yes, so we see again price pushing to the upside, reacting off of this demand right here, and then push to the upside like that. So what I was anticipating for me is, I think this was on Wednesday, no, Thursday. Price came back to this demand, and then I felt that maybe from here we could be doing that deeper pullback either to this supply before maybe possibly looking for those opportunities to the downside, but that wasn't the case. As you can see, my trade was taken out right there, which was okay. And also this trade was a low risk because I was trying to get back to my lower time frame entries and also executions. Okay, so I didn't want to risk much the way I do with the 1% of my accounts, but as you can see, price did take me out, and it was a small, I can say it was a small loss, and yeah, I was contented with it. So price came back to mitigate that demand again deeply, or rather deeper, and then short to the upside again. Okay, just to come back to this supply. So on Friday I wasn't around, but as you can see, there's something I needed to notice is when price went down right there during the Asian session, the Frankfurt session with this vertical line, we can see very well that price shot to the upside. Okay, price shot to the upside to come to mitigate this supply, especially this now happened during the London, is directly during the London Open. So this was a missed trade for me. Like I say, if you see this purple and red entry box, then just know that that was a missed trade for me, which I would have taken it, but I was outside. I wasn't at my desk, and I really don't like analyzing the charts when I'm not at my desk because I'll feel also confused, and I just want to be in my zone. So this was a missed trade. Already made peace with it also. I don't want to look all regretful about it, so I just want to let it out to say that that would have been a good trade during the London Open. So we see again price coming back to this supply, and then pushing price lower again, okay, with all those supplies. You see how now I'm following that order flow to make you understand and see how actually the charts react to those points of interest, for this case the supply areas. So price went back again to break out that low. This is a good thing. So meaning breaking that law only meant that all these laws were being taken out. Okay, all these laws were being taken out, and as you can see, price shot to the upside and then continued now to actually do the pullback. Okay, after that break of the law, do the pullback. So we have now a move to the upside like that, taking out all these supplies, okay, that were left pending, okay, and for those, all those that were selling are now being taken out on their stop loss. So what I'm saying is now for me, I would anticipate to take some buys from here, but not really. What I can only say is 15-minute or the lower time frames below 4 hour for me is just a little bit precarious. So I'll just leave price to play out in the 15-minute on its own. But looking at the 4 hour time frame, this is my speculative supply, though it's not an official supply, but it's my speculative supply, which I want to see if price does break this triangle to the downside like that, then I'll look for any supply and play the moves to the downside. So you see how 4 hour has several unmitigated demands that they would big guys would maybe want to use to reverse price too. Okay, so that's just all from the DAX, and that is what I'll be expecting to see coming in possibly next week or the rest of this year. So let's just move now to the USD CHF and see what we have in store. Okay, so USD CHF, what do we have in store? For me, I still see this demand, or rather this week, looking like it's price is ranging out of from it. So anything can happen right here. What I'm also speculating is from the monthly, all this bullish kind of flag, okay, could be inducement for maybe price to induce traders, okay, the guys to induce traders to just continue buying, and then later on come in and take them out and continue with the move to the downside. But still, this could push up. Maybe if it does breach this supply, then maybe we will be looking for those opportunities to go to the upside. But for now, this candle is actually pushing up. So I don't know about next week. I don't know about next month, sorry. For me, I can only say is that let's just wait and see how this month will actually turn out to be, to actually speculate the long term, or rather long run view. Weekly, still on the USD Swiss franc, we see the price did shoot up to that supply that we were anticipating from last week. So meaning that is good news for at least now. We see that for me, I see that high taking out the liquidity of this low and then creating a very huge range right here. Okay, but before that, we see that we had this move to the downside, a pullback with this inside bar, move to the downside, and then this now, this inside bar could have been the one that was mitigating this supply and then push to the downside, but that wasn't the case. So what it did, push to the upside, causing that change of character. So for me, I can say that this now could, okay, could be the demand that be used, to push price to the upside like that, but anything can happen. So for now, I can only say that I'm playing between this week of the supply and this demand right here, speculative demand, because it's not an official demand, because it didn't break either the highs or the lows of this here or maybe here. So meaning still price is just doing a whole conundrum of range. Okay, so meaning from this, maybe it could be the one that will push price up, or maybe from here could be the one that will push price down. So anything can happen from this point. Okay, still early to tell because we're still in January. Daily, Things are, you can say, a little bit clear, but really not that much clear. Okay, still price did push the upside, broke that low again right there. Price again went to the upside. Okay, reacted from that demand, but still pushed lower. Okay, deeper inside this demand, but didn't still touch this what do you call it, the weak demand, WICK demand. Okay, so meaning from that point we see also the daily had pushed to the upside, causing that weekly and also the daily demand, sorry, change of character, bullish change of character. So after price came back, it came back to that demand of that flip, okay, from that supply, and then push to the upside like that. So meaning now we could be having that moves to the upside like that. Okay, so I'd love to see what will happen here from this supply, and see maybe if that will be used to maybe push price lower, or maybe breached like that. If it does get breached like that, then I'll be looking for any demand here, and also playing the move to the upside, just joining in the ride. Remember, we are not the market makers. We are just reacting from the things that from the patterns that these guys actually give us. Okay, so all this will just depend. Okay, and it's still too early to tell. It's just the beginning of the first quarter. We'll want to see how that will play out. Maybe say, for me, I'll say end of the month, or maybe in towards the end of the first quarter. That's around March. Okay, so anyway, that's just it for the USD CHF, especially on the daily. And as you can see, also I talked to you guys about this trade last week, and as you can see, it's playing out very well. Also on the 4 hour, there was a very good trade that we took it for during the first week, and yeah, it's still doing very well. So let's just go to the long term frames and see how it actually played out. But from the daily, we can see from the swing point of view, this trade is actually still doing very well, and it's planning to run to 2.37 hours. So that's a good thing. That's a good thing. 4 hour, what are we seeing now? Starting off from the structure, we have a very, very huge uh, area to look at. Okay, look at that zone. I mean, all the way from up here, same structure as the daily, to down here, and price has just been ranging inside that section of 4 hours. Forgive me for how my chart looks dirty, but I really want to leave out these drawings for myself and for my journaling, and also for my analysis, to look at which supplies work. During the back test, I look at which supplies actually worked, which supply is was repeated, and some sort of analysis like that, to look at what really did play out, to see if they're actually repeating themselves in the current state that I'm in. So what am I seeing right now is, in that whole structure, we'll have now to play with the internal structure. We'll have now to look or do analysis with the internal structure. So for me, I'll only look at it from here. Okay, and also judging from the way the year started, I'll just look at it from this point. Okay, because from this point is where we see that pullback happening. Okay, so what are we seeing again? We are seeing that this was a move to the upside, came back to that weak demand, the WICK, and then we see a move to the upside again, meaning that this trade was very good, meaning that now they were signaling that we want to do the actual pullback. So after that, we see price taking out liquidity, but didn't liquidity of these lows, but didn't actually touch this last demand. You see this brown one on the 4 hour, and that's when now we push to the upside again. When it came down to this WICK, that's the weak demand, same as this one. Okay, and price shot to the upside. So this was the trade I was just talking to you about from the daily. And as you can see, price played out very well. I was out by here, okay, after taking a couple of partials. Okay, so one thing I've come to understand, that I need to have faith with my trade. I have to be rather feel I have to trust myself with my trade, because if you check very well, this trade has moved higher. Why has it moved higher? Because it has not found that zone that it wants to react from. So meaning if I had left it, maybe say at break even or maybe trailing stop loss to that below this demand, then price would have just, continued my direction, surpassing that 3R that I always look at. Okay. So why am I saying this? I'm saying this because inside this move to the downside like this, there was no any supply areas that price would react from. So meaning this pullback was just inevitable to continue to the upside to say, for example, this daily green supply that is up here. So next time as I take my trade, especially for this one that I'm anticipating, which I'll explain in just a few seconds, we can see that price is still pushing up and wants to come back to the supply. So meaning if this trade was still alive, then this would have been a very good profit, counting in patience and discipline and, perseverance. This would have been a very good hold to this point. Okay, so even when price has gotten to this point, then I would obviously speculate that this was the next demand that price would still push up from. So if I was still in the trade, then I would push my stop loss trail to this demand below here, right here. Okay, so that I would anticipate for at least for it to continue to upside. So coming in next time when I take my trades, I think, like say for this one, if it does play out and continue to the upside, then meaning for this one I would take partial, because this daily green supply, okay, is very, very crucial. So I'll really put that in mind and be very cognizant that if price came to that point, then I would take partials. But if it does play out to pull back into, somewhat something like this, okay, the move to the downside, then I'll just, let it play out to the next zone, for this case the supply zone. Okay, but aside from that, we can see very well that price shot to the upside, wanted to do a slight pullback, but only to this excuse me, supply that range demand that actually reacted from this supply, and then price continued to the upside. So as you can see, the internal structure on the 4-hour to the upside is still continuing and shooting to the upside. So meaning this was the last demand. Okay, this was the last speculative demand that price has reacted from. But for me, I'm still expecting for price to at least come down here to this demand and then maybe continue to the upside, say for example to this supply, before possibly maybe looking for those opportunities to get back down to maybe mitigate this demand that was left unmitigated on the daily. So anything can happen, but for now I'm anticipating for price to still come down to this demand and see how price will react from here. So in terms of entries, just as always, if you've watched my TikTok, what I always explain is I normally wait for price to at least come in deeper inside that demand, put in the buy stop right there, and then wait for price to come and tag me and go to my anticipated way. But if it doesn't play out, say for example it does come down right like this, okay, putting my buy stop there, tags me, and then continues to the downside, I will still be very much contented and waiting for, letting it go and accepting my loss and, waiting now for the next setup, either for the to the downside or maybe continue to the upside. So that is not a financial advice. That is just how I look at the market, and that is what I anticipate and how I execute. Okay, so that's just it from the 4-hour, and that is what I'll be expecting. Let's just now look at the 15 minutes. Look at a couple of missed trades that I ignored, but not really ignored. Of late, I've just been outside the house, doing some lots of errands. So I can only say that I am guilty. Okay, I am guilty of not actually looking at the market, especially from the lower time frames, but I have been missing out. Okay, the bottom line is I've been missing out. So 15 minutes, what are we seeing? For me, I'm seeing this low being broken right here. And the way this week started from here, this was on Monday, we see the price range a little bit, inside this supply right here. And then again, after, just like the DAX, as you can see, price shot to the upside to break that ascending triangle, and then came back. I think this was CPI, came back to this demand, and they shot to the upside. So I actually told guys that price would come to the supply, because we had the change of character around here, but price didn't come back. So this was the actual pullback that price would have been used to, react from, or rather come to, before maybe looking for any possibilities either to the downside. Again, price range around Tuesday, if I'm not wrong. This was on Monday, this was on Tuesday. Yeah, this was on Tuesday. Actually, on Tuesday is when I told guys we could be looking for these moves to the downside from this point all the way up to the supply. So yeah, that's one trade that I missed. Anyway, so range around there inside this demand, and then we shot to the upside to actually and officially break that high. Okay, break this high of the 15 minutes. Okay, so again after that we see move to the downside to this demand, and then price now came back to that demand. Okay, after that move to the upside just to come and mitigate this move to the upside, the same way we just saw on the 4 hour. Yeah, that void move, that impulsive move. Also in the 15 minute they came and took them out and also mitigated at that point. So from there we see a change of character, and then price pushed to the downside to that demand. Okay, I think this now was on Wednesday. And then price continued to the upside. So the brown color is the 4 hour POI, as you can see. So this is the one that we would have anticipated for it to hold, but that wasn't the case, because after price came up, it only shot down to this demand, which reacted from this supply, and the price shot again to the upside. So on Friday now, because after the range on Thursday, excuse me, we can see that the Asian session actually took its time to create more liquidity. Okay, and then after that on Friday, from this vertical line, as you can see, like I said, these brown or rather orange vertical lines are my daily sessions. Okay, so I normally mark on them on how the daily started, to just see on how the day was, is, and possibly could be. So this is where my Friday started, and as you can see, price shot to the downside like that. Okay, now here it did react from this supply. Okay, because after price opened up during the Frankfurt session, Frankfurt just came and mitigated the supply and then continued to the upside. Okay, so after that, London opened now with this dotted vertical line. This was the London, this was the Frankfurt, this is the London. So for the London, it reacted from that supply and then continued all the way during London session, okay, to the downside. Okay, reacting from this supply also to the downside. So this was another missed trade for me on Friday. It would have been a very good clean 3R playing out in a matter of hours, and also anticipating that pullback was continuing, that downtrend also has formed, and also this demand was waiting for price to come too. Okay, so right now we see that we have had this change of character right here to the upside, and we have price mitigating this area of supply right there. So as you can see, now price wants to come back either either to this demand and continue to the upside, because as you can see, we've also formed order flow to the upside. Okay, so meaning this pullback to here, which has come to 50% equilibrium, could be the one pushing price to the upside. But for me, I'm anticipating that if I see more moves to the downside, okay, to this, especially this demand right here, then I'll be anticipating to see price reacting from these areas of demand right here. Remember, I said if price comes in deeper inside this 4 hour, okay, this 4 hour demand, then I'll be looking to put in my buy stop right there, and then now join in on the right. Okay, join in on the right to the upside for this case. Okay, so that is just what I am anticipating coming in next week, possibly on USD CHF, and direction also wanting to ride in on the run and continue to the upside. So two things, either this demand would be the one reacting from, or maybe this one, but this one I don't think it's that strong, because we see price coming in on that huge range multiple of times. So for me, that's not really that strong. This one also, it's a hidden demand that I'll be also expecting to see how price will react from. But the initial one that I'll be expecting is this week. Okay, this week demand right here, but also this range demand. Either way, if price does get to this level, then I'll be going back to my 4 hour setting now, setting my risk, and also looking to put in my pending orders, as I just explained a few minutes ago. So that's just it from USD CHF. Let's now get into Euro USD and closing for the week. Okay, so last but not least, most of the traders' favorite pair, Euro USD. Let's now close in this analysis with this pair. Still playing out very well. We are still in our range from where price is right now, but let me just try and run that through and see what we are actually expecting. So from that low, we see that that high pushed in to break out that low. Okay, and this whole pullback, okay, this whole pullback was anticipated for at least price to maybe come and mitigate this supply, but that wasn't the case. So for now, excuse me, if you ask me, this one is still undecided for me also. Just like USD CHF, this one is still undecided for me also. And if it does choose to go down, okay, sorry, if it does choose to go down to mitigate this demand, then meaning USD CHF will automatically buy. 90% these two pairs go opposite of each other. Okay, that is just how I look at these two pairs, and that's why I love them, by the way. Okay, I'm even planning to buy an extra screen for the USD CHF so that I can see the actual alignment on how each of every pair between these actually correlate with each other. Okay, and also maximize on my profit, because if I'm planning to sell on this one and buying on USD CHF, then that's double the profits for me, right? But anyway, for now, let's just see what we have in store for this one. So we have the push to the upside, breaking out these highs. Okay, I don't know about this high. Let me see. I think this high was 190.90, and this one was 191.87. So meaning that this high right here took out the highs of here. Okay, let me look at this. 190.87, and this one is 191.87, right? So meaning all these highs were taken out. Okay, so liquidity was taken out at that point, and then possibly price could be now looking to pull back either to this demand or some areas, especially these exchanging wicks, because they actually reacted from this supply somehow. And yeah, so I'm expecting, or rather anticipating, that if that move to the downside does happen, sorry, then I'll be looking for price to at least get to here before possibly looking to see if maybe price would push up to this point. That could even not happen this year, because this is the monthly time frame. So this supply for me is still pending, and also hungry for price to come to. Okay, so meaning either anything can happen at this point, because this range was really took a while. Okay, because if you check very well, this was on January 2025. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 7 months somehow. Okay, so meaning that last year price was just ranging around there, and yeah, let's just see how now things will play out coming in this year. Maybe if possible that they want to come and mitigate this supply, or maybe continue to the downside from that point of this doji. Okay, weekly now things are starting to get a little bit clear for me, and a little bit interesting. So we have this move to the upside like that. okay, and a little bit of pullback, and then move to the upside like that again, a little bit of pullback, but this pullback just took out that liquidity. So later on we see price pushing forward, okay, to the upside like that. And then when it came down, it officially broke this low, okay, with this candle, okay, this bearish candle. So meaning we have the change of character, and we also have this pullback to the extreme supply right here, okay. So meaning, yeah, this could get interesting, and possibly giving us the clue that it wants to reverse to the downside. So for me right now is, as much as these are zones, especially this looking like it's a demand, but that it has not broken any high, okay. Price for me is playing now around these two inside bars. This one, okay, the speculative supply, and this one being my speculative demand. So two things: if it does break above this high, this inside bar, then I'll be looking for demand areas around here, and then playing that move to the upside to actually mitigate that supply that we just saw on the monthly. Okay, but if it does breach this speculative demand, okay, then I'll be looking for any areas of supply, and then now play the long run, or rather the long-term sales to the downside, to either of this demand, or rather this demand down here, okay. So for me, my money is just from the my money is just on the sales, okay. That is what I'm expecting, but I won't want to tick that box right now and pull my trigger. But for now, this imaginary, excuse me, sell box is just there for me to wait to see how actually things will play out. It actually gives me the confidence that yes, I can still take that sell opportunity. But for now, what I can say is I will move this to here, okay, and I will also move my stop loss to there. But it's still speculative. It's still an imaginary sell trade, which I'll be expecting for it to happen. So just like I said, if it does break that speculative demand right here, then I'll be looking for those sell opportunities. Likewise, if it does break that speculative supply, then I'll be looking for those buys to at least inside this monthly supply that we just saw minutes ago. And also inside that inside that supply that we saw in the monthly, we can see very well that we still have areas of supply maybe here. If I play those areas, if I play to those areas of supply, then I'll be looking to take my TP from there to there, okay, around there. So meaning that is just what I'll be expecting to see on Euro USD. But because we're anticipating on the buys from the USD CHF, then most probably the sales would be palpable around Euro USD on the weekly time frame. Okay, so the daily, what are we seeing? A couple of opportunities that did happen, but before that, let us look at how the structure is looking like. So we have that high causing that low, and that low breaking that high, which was now the high that took out those highs that we just saw on the monthly and weekly, okay. And then price now started pulling back down. As you can see, this is a very good swing trade that I had last year. I think this was around October. Yes, this is a very good trade that I did have. So price came back down with the supply pushing lower to that low, and also this fair value gap, okay. But as you can see, for me, like I said, always fair value gaps for me are liquidity, but for those that used it, then they were riding on top of that, and maximizing those profits very well. So from this demand, which I see that has not been touched, okay, I'll be expecting for price to still come back down here, okay. And also from the weekly perspective, excuse me, if price does get to here, then I'll be anticipating for price to still continue lower and continue maybe changing direction to the downside. But let's just not get ahead of ourselves. Let's just look at what we have in hindsight. So we have this move to the upside. I think I explained about this trade in my previous videos. If not, then go check it out. We have another move to the downside to do the pullback to this demand, and then short to the upside again. So higher low, higher high. We had a change of character around here after price mitigated this supply. Remember this supply, it mitigated it deeper. So very change of character. Price came and took out those highs again, which means they were, building liquidity, which came and took them out, and then chose now to officially continue with the move to the downside. Okay, so meaning now when price came down like that with that doji, we see a very long wick which price actually came up to take out some of the highs around there, especially this high of the doji, and then price continue again to create more of that move to the downside and also that bearish order flow. So again, we see price continue to the downside inside this inside bar, but also breached it. Okay, so meaning now from this point, anything can happen. Number one, price could move in deeper to just continue with the flow, okay, to this demand that we just saw on the daily. Yeah, right here, the demand. But for me, what I'm expecting is for at least price to react from this doji, because this doji was the one that reacted from this supply. So I'm expecting for at least price to react from this demand, okay, as much as it was mitigated, but at least react from it. um, Collect more orders, yeah, collect more orders to this supply, and then that's when I'll be looking to, see if I can join in on the ride to continue to the downside to that demand. Okay, and also take out these liquidity points. Remember, all these were areas of liquidity and demand that, price wanted now to come and take them out. So that is just what I'm anticipating, say for example this month, for price to at least come to. But if that's not the case, then we'll just have to change our minds and look to see of any opportunity that we will have coming in next week. But for now, I don't see any other demand that maybe price would react from, but I'm really wishing that price reacts from that demand right there to come into this supply, deeper, just like always. If it does come deeper, then I'll put in my sell stop and then ride with it to the downside. But for now, let's just return this back and wait to see what price will give or show us coming in next week. For our good week, I think I didn't have a trade. I didn't have a trade, just one that was a loss, okay, around here. Because as you can see, this was beginning of January. This was the first week, and this is the second week that we just completed, okay. So let's just start off with the structure. For me, the 4 hour also is very huge, just like USD CHF. And as you can see also, I'm playing between that high and this low, okay. And yeah, so let's just talk about the internal structure. So we see right here we had a change of character. Price shot up, okay, and then came down. Now the change of character was not palpable on the daily, but as you can see from the 4 hour, it was right around here, okay, right around here, which was that fair value gap that we just saw on the daily a few minutes ago, and then price shot to the upside, okay, like that. So forgive me again for my dirty chart, but I just hope you'll get to understand what I'm talking about, because I'm sure if you're looking at the same pair, then you understand what I'm saying. Right there also with the change of character, excuse me, on the daily, we also have it on the 4 hour, which as you can see, price reacted from that demand and then shot to the upside to come and take out those highs. Again, we have the change of character here after the highs were taken out. Right there, we have the 4 hour bearish change of character, which again now price came and danced around inside this demand and also this flip zone, and then continue, no, not flips on, but supply, and then continue to the downside. So I think I explained about this trade in my last video, because as you can see, this was last week. As you can see, price went back to the supply and they shot to the downside deeper. Okay, so I want to explain something. This is a mistake that I did last week. Okay, so when price reacted there from that demand, Okay, it shot to the downside and then came up, which now that prompted me to put in my sell stop, and as you can see, it tagged me and went to the downside like that. So when it came down right there, okay, price shot up with this inside bar, causing the change of character, the bullish change of character to the upside, which now they were luring me to tell me that maybe we could be reacting off of this demand right here, okay, and then continue to the upside, okay, but that wasn't the case. So what they did is they lured people like me, okay, to take the buys from there, because as you can see, after that change of character, price didn't come back to this demand, but it showed to the upside to this supply. So meaning when price came to this demand, okay, this one here, it created that double bottom, relative double bottom. And so I put in my buy stop there, and I was anticipating for at least price to come to this supply, because this supply was the one that was used to break this internal breakout structure, the low, okay, to cause this lower low. So meaning this deeper, this pullback, I was anticipating for it to come in deeper to this supply before continuing to the downside, but that wasn't the case. As you can see, my buy stop was there, the tag was there, you know, everything was lined up, and I just let it play out. Also, I was expecting for price to get to down here, but I was thinking that maybe this would be the demand that will be used to push price to the upside. So that wasn't the case. Why? Because this was the actual supply that was used, okay, to push price to the lower side and also break this low. So meaning this was, yes, it was a valid trade, but also it was somehow invalid, because I would have thought of this where my last trade was. This was the actual supply that was used, okay, because they picked up so many orders here and then took them out. Played it to the downside to break that low. So meaning I would have just been, you know, cautious to remember that this was the actual supply which would push price to the lower side. So in terms of probabilities, that was a low one, and this supply was the high probability that would have expected price to continue to the downside. So after that, we see price now coming to that demand that I was expecting, and then price came back up to mitigate that supply and then push price lower. Okay, so again, we see a little bit of a range only for it to come to that supply and then push lower. I think there was news here, but the people were actually unaware of that news, and that move really that did happen in a few seconds, and yeah, it was really, really saddening for most traders that maybe were expecting for price to continue to the upside. So for now, I can't draw my lower low, but I want to see how next week will play out, and also see what will happen if maybe price chooses to come into this daily, deeper into this daily supply that I'll be expecting for price to come to. But for now, move to the downside. Also, this downward move has this 4-hour demand right here, which I'll be expecting for price to come to, and see if maybe you can get other opportunities rather than waiting for price to get in deeper, like we talked of that trade in the daily time frame. So I'll want to see how price will react from here, but what is more important for me, what is paramount and imperative, is that from this demand, okay, we will want to see how price will react from, and then look for any sales opportunity, because ideally we are moving to the downside with lower highs and lower lows, okay, like that. So I just want to see if it doesn't get to this, actually if it doesn't get to this demand, then that would be a very, very excellent move for me, and I'll be really, really anticipating for price to at least not touch this demand, come back up here, putting up there my sell stop down there, and then now ride to the downside, because this demand also could be a sense of liquidity point where it will just want to react from, or rather take people out, because many stop loss also will be around there. So I'm not a financial advisor. Once again, please, this is just my analysis and my point of view. Okay, if you want, please do your due diligence and make sure you're risking on your own. Okay, so as much as I had this as my loss, for me, I'll call it a valid loss. and I've also recorded it in my journal. And yeah, looking to see that next time I'll be very wary or cognizant about those areas or point of interest. So 15 minutes. We also have some few mistrades. Okay, I think with these mistrades, because of how I look at the higher time frames, it has given me or showed me evidence on how to also correlate, okay, the analysis that I have on the higher time frames to also employ them in the lower time frame. So let's just look at how the week was. I think it played around this blue line and this blue line. What happened? We saw price moving to the upside, okay, and then after a very huge range, and taking out of those highs, we finally had a change of character right there, and then price now started shooting to the downside. So you see how price now was creating that order flow to the downside and reacting off of the brown 4-hour supplies. So as you can see here, also we have that moved to that supply, and then price came in, okay, created relative double bottoms, and then came and took them out like that to continue with that order flow to the downside, and also that bearish order flow. So meaning now again we see price continue to the downside, breaking that 15 minutes low, the swing low. And then right here now, I think this was on Thursday, we have that change of character right there, which this now was my speculative trade, okay, that I really wanted to take, but to be honest, I hesitated on this one. But either way, you see, actually it ranged for a very long time, especially during the Asian and also the London. But as you can see, even after that range, during the Frankfurt, we see that price actually played out very well, okay, wanting to get back up to this 4-hour supply. He played out very well with Frankfurt, and then London came in and took in more orders and then shot to the upside again. But it was very corrective. It was very, very corrective, very slow, and very, very, stealthy. Okay, so again, I think there was news here somehow. Price came and took them out, and then breaking that low again, and also causing that change of character. So two things: either this could be the pullback to that supply to just come and mitigate that 4-hour, this brown 4-hour demand, and then maybe continue to the upside. But yeah, for 15 minutes, to be honest, I really don't want to talk of my projections from this time frame. Excuse me, from this time frame. So meaning, if you're looking for projections, then I only concentrate on the higher time frame. So that's just it. That's just how I got those missed trades, also those blind trades, which turned out to be losses, and also the speculations that I'll be expecting, and also the lessons that I've learned out of the things that I actually wasted during this week. So what I can only say is that always look at the higher time frames to know the whole picture, to understand, or rather decipher the whole picture of how the market, or rather the charts, are looking like, so that you can be very pedantic on the move that you want to take. Okay, so that's just it from all this. As you can see now from here, Euro USD, I'm still playing, or rather anticipating to continue to play the moves to the downside. USD CHF also same thing, speculating to continue to the upside with that demand, maybe see how price will react from, and then continue to the upside. With the DAX for me is a bit precarious and very undecided, so I'll be waiting to see what will actually play out of that triangle, and also this demand, okay, to see maybe what will actually happen. So that's just it. That's just my analysis for this week, okay, and also forecast for next week. So join me next week and see what we have in store. For now, good luck to the Manchester Derby that we are about to have this afternoon, and also you guys have a nice weekend, and yeah, stay blessed. God bless you all. Peace.